and welcome to the PPVG 3-Way. This is where we select a gaming category from the Darth Vader helmet, and we name our top 3 games selected of the category, and we have no idea what the category is. This is done live. It's done live. We have no idea what it is. So our category for this week, our top 3 video game controllers of all time. What are our top video game controllers of all time? I love the Xbox One controller. Just how comfortable it sits. I know it's with the variation of the 360. And then with the Xbox One, I just love the 360 and Xbox One. That type of controller. It just feels so good again playing just hours, just RPGs. So Xbox One would probably be one of my top 3 controllers. The PlayStation, the one thing I give credit to Sony is it's very similar. PS1, 2, 3, and 4, it's the same look, you would say.
Super Nintendo. If you look at it, when you look at the Super Nintendo controller and you look at PlayStation controller, it's almost really identical. So my first one will one of my top 3s would be Super Nintendo. And then I would go into PlayStation 2 and then the new one now.
Why 2? Why does that one stand out?
Because that's when they started innovating with the analog sticks. And they started using the actual, and it was the first of its kind in there. Well, using the analogs on both sides, have them together, and that's where it went. So I saw that as innovation for that controller.
And why the PS4?
It's just comfortable. They extended it. It got a little bigger.
With your fucking monkey hands that you have, fucking King Kong over there.
They made them bigger, and then they had.
I want to see the Switch.
That too.
I don't even know how you can handle.
No,
the
you
Joy-Con.
should see me playing the fucking Switch controller. I'm like this. I'm like. Brah.
In all fairness, everybody does that.
But yeah, for the 4, I like the touchpad. What they did with some of the stuff on the touchpad. I know, some games utilize it. I'm trying to think of which one was the best one that actually utilized the touchpad. I remember the God of War one did for the re-release, for the remaster on PlayStation 4. When you got into those, the touch. What were they called? The cinematic stops where you had to go a certain direction.
A quick time event?
The quick time events. You could do that with the touchpad, with the thumbs and stuff like that.
They redesigned it for the Pro, right? Because the light is no longer...
Yeah, the light is no longer there, so it's not as bright. Now you have just the straight light.
And it's not batteries. That's one thing I do like about Sony.
Yeah.
You don't have to use batteries. Just...
No console should be using batteries anymore. It should have its own.
Do you have a problem with Xbox using batteries?
Yes, it's stupid.
And Rich, what are one of your favorite video game controllers?
No, I'd agree with you guys. I'm gonna throw out the one where I saw that they could do different things on an early system. For the old NES, the Advanced. Do you remember that? It looked like a little boomerang, and it had 2 turbo buttons, one for A and one for B. And it also, instead of the D-pad, it wasn't like a thumbstick. It was more almost like a trackpad kind of thing, but it was in the thumbstick kind of style, the way it would fit in your hand. So the fact that it had the turbo buttons on there, I thought that was fucking awesome. So that's what really...
For the NES or Super NES?
That was for the NES.
Okay, because that is Super NES, turbo controller that you can hit the turbo for Street Fighter 2.
Yeah.
We had that.
No, this is like a little hand. It looks like a boomerang kind of thing.
Like the PS3
like
prototype. So you didn't like the 6-axis for the PS3?
No, I didn't use that shit. And be mindful, nothing against PC users. I love keyboard and mouse. Still use that shit. I mean, just throwing that out there.
Okay, if we're gonna go that far, the Zapper. How fucking awesome is that?
Ahead of its time.
I love the Super Scope 6. That was my jam back in the day.
I never played it.
Yeah.
That was
bazooka?
Well, that was the reiteration of the Zap for the NES, right? The scope was
Super
the next
Nintendo,
generation.
Yeah. And they used it in the Mario Brothers movie.
They did.
Yeah.
They did.
That was their little integration.
We're gonna have that in our movie night. Wayne's World 1 and 2 and Super Mario Bros.
You can't handle.
We'll just have video games. We'll have.
You can't handle Wayne's
We'll have
World
Super
2.
Mario Bros. Double Dragon. We'll just do. We'll just do the
Alyssa Milano,
games.
come
Yeah,
on.
yeah,
Star-Lord would approve.
yeah. What about the Wii controller?
No.
I liked the GameCube more than I liked the Wii controller.
Oh, I hate that GameCube.
The
controller.
GameCube was odd.
Yeah, it was a little different, but when I played
This was a controller though.
right, it's the controller. Right? When I played Resident Evil 0 on there, it just I don't know. I felt comfortable using it.
Rich, did you have a GameCube?
Yeah. Fortunately.
You didn't like the GameCube?
That's where I first started going against Nintendo, because I thought that was a big mistake.
I love the GameCube.
When you release your first Mario title, doesn't have Mario in it, I thought that was a big mistake.
Oh, I had like Luigi's Mansion as the one. Yeah, that was a misstep.
And by the time you get to Sunshine, I was like, oh, I'm out.
Tapped out. Like the 64, that was the first controller with an analog.
Yeah.
Correct?
Yeah.
The set with Mario, you can tiptoe.
I did not like that controller.
It was.
It was awkward with the 3.
No,
Yeah.
How did you guys play the 64?
Thumbstick like this, and then you play over here, and then if you needed to, you'd reach up and grab the D-pad.
Okay, so you used the middle,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So I actually played it long. Like I just had it on the sides. I never used the middle. I couldn't do it. For some reason. I'm very uncoordinated. I'm an uncoordinated person.
Put it on the table and then just
I don't, wait, what was?
yeah, put it on the table and just hold it down and just
That's,
fucking Atari.
yeah, so I just had it play. Have my controller somewhere around here. Yeah, play it full because I know I was in the minority though. Like I had no idea how to use the 64.
I tried it that way when I first played it. When my cousin had it, and I'd go over and I'd play the what's it called, the James Bond.
Goldeneye.
Yeah, the GoldenEye. That one. I would play it just like that,
Yeah.
and I realized that my hand would start hurting.
Well, you had King Kong hands. You could
I
handle
had
it.
to do what Rich, the middle joystick, whatever.
Rich, did you ever use the original Xbox controller? The
No,
big.
I actually.
What was the
came in
nickname
after
for it?
The football.
Was it football? I thought they had a different.
Oh.
Was it the not Nuke or the Duke? That
Was that
name's
they were calling it?
from I don't know. Yeah.
No, it was fucking
It was
huge.
huge.
I remember seeing it because I was working in retail, and I remember seeing it. But that's one of the reasons why I didn't get. I was still on the Sony ship. I was PlayStation 2.
You're very loyal. I love it. You're very loyal to your brand.
Because you're trying to sell me something. So what? Listen,
No, I give you credit.
If you buy a car, you might like other cars and respect that. But it's very few of us that are like, no, I've got 4 cars. I've got a Lamborghini and a Ferrari and a Toyota, and a Ford, because I like to spread it around. I like to experience the full milieu of car. No, you buy one and you use it. That's how I kind of see things.
Mo, did you ever see the original Xbox controller?
I do remember. It was a little. Wasn't it wide?
It
Yeah.
was.
It was wide.
It was heavy.
It was
too.
odd.
Yeah.
Because
I
my
don't think something
brother.
got broken off the fucking.
Yeah, because
stand.
my brother got an Xbox launch. It was we got for Christmas a month after he got the Xbox. I got the GameCube. But when I got the Xbox for Knights of the Old Republic, it came with the S.
Yeah.
So the smaller version because they knew that was a
And I
piece of
love
shit.
that though. Although I didn't understand
loved-
why it had a black and white button. That was weird. That
Yeah.
was them trying to be individual.
So I like the S. That's I don't know, just the Xbox One controller. I just love how that feels, and maybe because for Sony, I didn't actually start playing Sony until the PS3, so I didn't grow up and get used to that controller. But that again, I give Sony a lot of credit of sticking with the same variation, same design. Because Nintendo, every single fucking system is a different controller. Xbox, it's similar, but it's different.
They try to innovate.
So
Yeah.
Sega was the same thing though, going from Sega Master System to the Sega Genesis and then to the Dreamcast, all different controllers.
Yeah.
Because if you remember, if you had Sega Genesis, it came with the 3 buttons, and then if you wanted to go a step up, you would get the 6-button controller, which was more comfortable than the 3.
XY.
The Dreamcast, that reminded me of the Xbox again. The Dreamcast.
Yeah, but it was I didn't find it uncomfortable. The only thing that was uncomfortable.
We have fucking huge hands.
Was plugging in the Rumble Pack and then plugging in the fucking what's it called, the little video game thing that used to plug in. It was like a little Game Boy at the time for a Dreamcast.
Because you can play loading mini games on that thing, right?
Yeah.
That was genius.
Yeah, and then you could take that anywhere, And what it would do is you would upgrade your character. Like if you had a save system like Ready to Rumble, if you were upgrading your character, you can actually take that on the move and then upgrade him.
Yeah, it was like a Tamagotchi.
Yeah, in a
you
way.
go and train him in the gym, and then you go back and put him in the fight.
Yeah,
Wow.
and then he's
Sharing our age now. Sharing our age.
That's what it is.
Tamagotchis.
Yeah.
You shouldn't. How many Tamagotchis have died in the last 20 years?
Oh.
Horrible. It's terrible.
No, I like the 360 controller. It's one of my favorites.
No, I like 360.
But I had the chat pad too, so that made it a lot easier
attachable.
to
Okay, I
text
think.
and stuff instead of scrolling through.
What were you texting?
Because you would have messages on
Go
there,
fuck
but also
yourself.
no, when you were there were shit that you had to type in. You're redeeming a code. It's so much easier when you could just put in the fucking numbers or the. Remember how the redemption codes are always.
How many codes are you putting in? Like that created a need for this.
Plenty, yeah.
Oh, okay.
It's nice now where you just have to connect and it scans it, but not all of them have that QR
Yeah.
code, so you have to fucking type it in. When it's a 25-digit code, it's always, okay, capital X, lowercase h, 6, capital Y, lowercase r, dash.
No, it's one of
It's nicer
those
to do
where
that.
in reality you think I don't need it, but once you use it the first time, like holy shit,
yeah.
it changes.
I
Like
know.
DVR, like my life changed.
PlayStation 2 had a keyboard. Yeah.
Yeah, it did.
Plug it in.
And so did Dreamcast.
The Game Shark company didn't have that, yeah.
Dreamcast also had a keyboard where you had to plug it in and
The
stuff.
Shark board.
When you were playing Phantasy Star Online, which
Yeah.
was an amazing game.
But I think my favorite controller of all time is the Super Nintendo. Favorite controller of all time. Because there's not too many buttons. It has those 4 A, B,
And then 2 shoulders.
and then the 2 shoulder has the D-pad still. Because the NES again, A, B again, it was great for the NES. But the Super Nintendo is my favorite console ever, though. Like I think one of the greatest games of all time was during that generation. Love the console, love the controller. So that's my favorite console ever. But just that controller, I think, was perfect for the amount of games. I understand adding more buttons because games become more complicated.
Yeah.
Now, especially in 3D space, you need the space in the analog. You need the analog now for precision. But for those type of games, the 16-bit Super Nintendo is my favorite controller.
That makes sense.
Have you seen the Steel Battalion?
Yes.
Like over 100
I sold
buttons.
one of those, yeah.
What?
You sold one of those?
Fucking retarded.
The Steel Battalion controller.
Yeah. So it's like
for
the
the regular
console of the
Xbox.
Mac. So it's the whole fucking thing, and it's got all the dip switches and stuff. Like, oh, I need to prime the rockets on the left shoulder rocket launcher. So you'd flip that up, and it's like a nuclear launch thing. I'm like, okay, over here. And then, okay, and then forward momentum, we're gonna go like this. Oh, and here's the pedals, so that I can control the speed of the momentum. And okay, now I gotta twist it. So this switches me from aiming to turning the body. So it's not just I'm turning the Gatling gun. This is I'm actually twisting at the waist, and it's got all the little fucking indicators. Like, oh, you're at this altitude, and oh, it's retarded.
Look, the Jaguar controller, that thing was fucking intense. It had the control hold and then a bunch of buttons at the bottom too.
Yeah, and remember they had little cards
Yeah, so you can
that
actually
put over there, so
yeah.
it wasn't. You're not pressing the number 3.
Yeah.
This is the bonk or whatever his name was. What was
Yeah.
that caveman character they had?
Yeah, I don't remember.
But
I
yeah,
know what
they
you're
would lay out
talking
like
about.
a picture, and you put the card over that, and the picture's over that. And it was like, oh, that's the slide button. Oh, that's the jump button. Yeah,
So your favorite controller would be the 360?
possibly. Yeah.
Possibly. No, it's fair. And then
It would be Super Nintendo.
Super Nintendo.
Yeah.
Rich, I'm actually surprised that you didn't go. We talked about it last week, the top 3 party games of all time. Would your Rock Band Guitar Hero be a favorite controller?
But I complain about gimmicks. The guitar was a big innovation, but if it was truly revolutionary, it would still really be in normal use. It was kind of a fad, like the motion controls, and I accept
Huge
that.
fad.
Just like the Zapper and that kind of stuff, they serve a purpose, but they're not commonplace. Where DualShock, that's an innovation, and it's on its 3rd iteration.
The Rumble Pack, the
Yeah.
64. That was a huge fucking. That was as heavy as the controller
Yeah.
when you plug in the Rumble Pack.
Yeah. And especially how you were controlling the thing.
And that's
That-
yeah, I was thinking a lot of the controllers you had to buy a fucking rumble pack for, and it just made that sucker heavier.
Because the Star Fox 64 that came was one of my favorite games. I love Star Fox 64, and I know Rich likes to bring up and just stabbed me
No,
a little
it was
bit
a
with the
good
Star
game.
Fox
And
games.
then what did they do?
But how they
basically
shit
put
on the
those
franchise.
characters on other games that didn't really fit, like Star Fox Adventures.
The Zelda
which is
game.
another IP, yeah.
Yeah.
And you just ruined your whole fucking
But what I
customer
loved
base.
to do when I was, 14? I think, 14 when Star Fox 64 came out in 98, 99, was there's a tank level in Star Fox 64. It's towards like 2/3 in, and there's a big explosion. I don't know if you remember this. At the very end of that level, there's a big explosion. The rumble pack. I used to put it on my nuts after I beat it and just let it rumble for like 30 seconds. Hey, I was 14.
Here's the weird part. It's not because of the rumble. He just likes to hear Slippy degrade him.
Yeah.
What are you doing, Fox? We're all gonna die. He's like, that's what I needed, Daddy.
Yeah.
Oh.
And just, I was trying to come up with an excuse if one of my parents walk in on me with a rumble pack on my nuts. I'm just leaning back,
They've
watching the
seen
game.
worse. They've seen worse.
Yeah.
You had a lot of
That's
free
gonna be an
It's fine.
awkward wedding when I have to talk to him about all this shit. I've seen.
God.
It's like a PTSD, like a relief group. You know, you sit down and you're like, no, here's what happened to me. I know he did the same thing when he was 14.
Yeah. That is my one memory of the rumble pack with Star Fox, with the tank level. It was a massive explosion, and then I made a massive explosion afterwards.
That's too much.
It was huge
Okay.
rumble.
Okay.
Huge rumble.
Let's end the segment
With
with a huge explosion.
a huge explosion. That would be later. So those are our top 3, each of our top 3 video game controllers of all time. Please let us know in the comments what your top 3 game controllers are.